Hey, good morning. Welcome in. Welcome back, everybody. It is Laura, and we are going to talk about these weekend energies because these energies are pretty potent and they are a lot of activations for the divine feminine collective. And so this is huge, connected to our individual journeys and the collective journey, connected to twin flame. And so with Venus now in Gemini, it will be forming 2 sextiles on Sunday, and it is going to be in a sextile to Neptune and Saturn, both of these energies in Aries. And we do need to keep in mind Neptune just did go retrograde. And so we're kind of entering what it feels like is a multi-dimensional moment where we blend in the inner grounded masculine structure with the spiritual soul contracts that the divine feminine is here to recode. And so I'm going to break down these transits. I'm going to break down the energetic meaning and how they can affect the collective and all of you on an individual level, especially those that resonate with the activation of the twin flame path and journey, because ultimately this is a journey about actively embodying that divine feminine frequency as a divine feminine. And so let's break it down, because Venus is the energy of the feminine. And so when we talk about Venus, it does connect to love, our values, our feminine energy. It is our finances. And it is in the sign of communication. It is in a sign ruled by Mercury. And so there's a curiosity connected to Gemini energy and Venus that is bringing forward a very harmonious sextile aspect to Saturn, which is all about structure, time, karma, and divine masculine order, and Neptune. And so when we ground in our authentic feminine expression, we do this through that disciplined embodiment, right? So discipline is actually the highest form of self-love, right? And so I do feel there's a lot of mental clarity, 222 on the timer, coming forward connected to love. And this is where our words meet commitment, right? Because our words do create worlds. And so we also have to incorporate play with maturity, right? And so there is a healing of the inner fractured masculine and feminine dynamics as Venus traverses through Gemini, and especially connected to communication. And so divine feminine, I feel, really is in this portal of reclaiming her voice. This is all about reclaiming your voice with authority and emotional maturity, right? Where we speak from that place of wholeness rather than a place of woundedness. And so I have noticed a lot of projections in the collective recently. And so we are here to build new templates. We are not here to play into the old twin flame templates. This is about love. This is about devotion. And this is not building any type of foundation based on the old timeline of trauma and separation. And so we have to release the fantasy. We do have to release the waiting, because this is a journey of spiritual co-creation, okay? And so when we do the healing work, when we choose clarity over confusion, then we can begin to define what truly matters for us. And then we can anchor that truth and these values within all of our relationship structures. This is not just about romance. And so divine feminines, I know you are feeling the urge to voice your truth, to share your story, to share your truth, to share your journey with boldness and with grace. And so I do feel this transit is allowing and affording the divine feminine to have that opportunity to set those clear boundaries and to accept a deeper level of commitment. And this is all about somebody who shows up with integrity and who shows up with emotional availability. And so the tarot archetypes associated with these transits was the Lovers, of course, because of the Venus and Gemini energy, and the Emperor connected to the Aries energy. And so right now there is a divine choice. And this divine choice needs to be rooted both in love and in leadership, okay? And so with Venus and Gemini, sextile Neptune, retrograde in Aries, This is pretty significant because there is a soul-aligned sextile happening here. With Neptune retrograde in the early degrees of Aries, this is a spiritual activation, okay? This really is a spiritual activation, and we can see this energy with Saturn and Neptune in a conjunction in the 10th house, and we do see the 10th house sitting in the sign of Aries at 3 degrees 58. Empress, 4 of Swords. Healing from past betrayals, healing from that 3 of Swords energy, that stabbing in the chest energy, and healing your divine feminine frequency and your essence, okay? And so this is always through authenticity, through our fire, through clarity, through expression, not through the illusion, not through the fantasy of what we want this to be. And so with Neptune retrograde, it is dissolving these twin flame illusions. It really is. And it's asking us all, where have you abandoned your truth in the name of love, or in the name of being loved, or even in the name of being lovable? That veil is going to lift, okay? Because I do feel the feminines are receiving the downloads, whether it's through dreams or visions or intuitive flashes of insight. You're receiving those intuitive downloads about the next steps, about the art you're here to create, about the soul work you're here to ground in and embody. And so all of these past life illusions, especially in twin flame or karmic dynamics, they're going to be exposed. I feel this energy is all about exposure, especially as Uranus enters into Gemini a day after these sextiles. There's like a boom energy. This is where the feminine returns to being her own inner muse. You don't need that external person to be that muse any further. This is purpose and mission work, okay? And so it's time to bring heaven to earth, and we do this through our voice, through our art, through our co-creative journey, and through the messages that we are here to share with the collective. And so I was shown the tarot archetypes of the High Priestess and the Fool. So there is a sacred new beginning here, but it's going to need to be guided by our soul wisdom, right? The lessons that we've learned. And so there is a major cosmic recalibration of the divine feminine collective happening right now, especially connected to mental, communicative, and creative power. And so the divine feminine collective is being asked to speak their truth with that sacred structure, right? Saturn is asking for that structured truth. We are being called to channel our soul codes and to ground that into embodiment as we go through this Neptune retrograde, okay? We are here to detangle from the false versions and the false narratives of love, and we are here to express ourselves freely in our sovereignty and to anchor in discernment with devotion of our purpose, okay? And so unconditional love does not equate to unconditional tolerance. And so this is all about voice activations, I feel, speaking, singing, writing, sharing. All of these divine energies are asking to move through us, through the throat chakra, okay? And so when we define our standards or redefine our standards, connected to what we build love on, which should be truth, what is that going to look like for you? Ask yourself that, okay? Because there is something here that the divine feminine is being asked to no longer entertain, okay? And so trust in the intuitive hits that you are receiving, because Neptune retrograde is going to bring that clarity. This Neptune retrograde is significant because it is going to dip back into Pisces, which is the energy of oneness, but it is also at times in low vibration, the energy of enmeshment. And so we are whole on our own. We are a whole individual. And I know the story of twin flames is two souls divided, forever endlessly searching for one another. You are whole without any external person, divine feminine. So I want you to remember that, because your sovereignty is going to bring that clarity, okay? And it might just be subtle whispers from your intuition, but trust in those subtle whispers, okay? Because we have to balance the dream with discipline, okay? Who doesn't dream of having that divine counterpart union, that equal that is going to stand by you and build with you with reciprocity and equality and equanimity? I'm sure we all crave that. I know I crave that, but I will not settle for anything less than an equal. And so we are here to build something with our inspiration, with our intuitive creative hits. We're here to build something. It's not just imagining something. We have to take those appropriate actions to bring a manifestation into fruition. And I do want to stress, you can never manifest a specific person. Okay, because everybody has free will to go down their own path, and we can't control another person's choices or another person's actions. The only thing we do have control over is our own choices and our own actions and our own reactions. And so be prepared to build something new. I do feel the most affected signs with the energies this weekend are going to be for sure Gemini and Aries placements. If you've got them in any of your big three, this is going to be front and center for you, connected to transformation. And Pisces, Aquarius, Sagittarius, and Virgo, I do feel there is going to be a lot of triggers connected to those zodiac signs. And this is going to trigger a realignment, okay? Leo and Libra, I feel mostly the rising signs. You're going to have a major shift in love. And this could spark a new creative journey connected to your self-expression, okay? And so divine feminine, this is not just about awakening. This is about anchoring, right? We are the anchors for this mission of bringing heaven down onto earth. And so these transits really are about merging these divine codes, these light code activations with the earthly grounded structure, okay? And so we're not here to float above life. I know it's great to be in the floating above life energy, but we do have to be the grounded embodiment of the mystic healer and of the divine essence that we do want to see in the world, right? And so we're here to ground our mission in real time, and we are here to build healthy relationship cycles. And it isn't just about romance, it's about all of the relationships in our lives. And we do this through higher forms of communication, and we do this rooted in a sense of purpose. So let's go a little bit further and let's see what other messages need to come through for the cards today. Stick around, and if you are curious about learning a little bit more about your birth chart, I do have a guide, the 15 basics of understanding your birth chart. If you're new to astrology, even if you've been studying it for a while, what harm is there in downloading a free guide? So comment down below, free guide, and I will send you the link to download the free guide to the basics of your birth chart. I also have written a 22-page twin flame ebook guide if you are curious to understand more about the journey, the stages, the phases, and that this is not just romance, this is actually mission work, and you're ready to dig into your mission. Comment twin flame ebook down below. But let's get into it with the cards and let's see what they have to say for this weekend check-in. All right, let's break this down. The first card out is you decided to wake up, or else. Why did you draw me? And so there is a completion energy coming through, and we do have a full moon in Capricorn coming up. I believe it is July the 10th. And so there could be some type of completion or like a wake-up call. You see the alarm there. But really what I'm feeling connected to this card today for the collective is a need to really look at what dream, or I want to say what nightmare, are you ready to wake up from? And so this kind of does mirror that activation of the recent Neptune retrograde in Aries, where that powerful veil is lifting during this retrograde transit. So I don't know, really look at your path. Where have you been seduced by illusions in love, or any fantasy projections, or any outdated storylines? Now we're going to be awakening to these illusions. And with Saturn in that sextile to Venus, this is going to bring a certain level of structure to this awakening, which is going to help us to ground in this truth. And grounding in the truth, I want to say, with discernment. And so this is where the divine feminine no longer is the dreamer who's going to wait, right? We are the creator. We are the one who remembers. And so this really is a moment for the divine feminine to snap out of the fog, to snap out of the fantasy, and to step into this soul-aligned reality. We're not being punished by delays, right? Delays and divine detours are here to help us refine us for our sacred purpose. So we can write our purpose into this reality, right? And so I really just feel there is this victory coming through. I feel almost like a Six of Wands quality. And so if your pen here were like this magic wand, what would you write for your next chapter of your life? Because we all get to decide how we want to create our reality, right? And so this definitely resonates with the Venus in Gemini energy, right? Which is a sign of communication, expression, and creation. And we do this through our words, right? And so with the sextile to both Saturn and Neptune, I do feel this is really offering a sacred invitation this weekend to merge our practical manifestations with that soul-aligned vision. And so we get to be the scribe of our destiny. The universe, I feel, is asking with this card, what are you choosing to create with your voice, with your vibration, and with your vision? Because we do get to write a story where we are whole, where we are loved, where we are supported, seen, and powerful. So this is an initiation, I feel, into conscious co-creation. And so this really, I feel, is also a call to step into ritual writing or scripting or journaling or speaking those intentions out loud this weekend. And then we go right into your lighthouse guides you home to the stars. And so all along the way, divine feminine, you have been that own beacon that has been calling yourself home, right? And so this really does connect, I feel, to the Neptune spiritual frequency and Venus moving through Gemini, through that mutable air energy. The idea of like guiding lights, right? Which is connected, I feel, to soul memories and finding your way through the fog of your own soul essence. And so we're never, ever lost. The version of you who already knows the way has always been guiding you through the signs with the synchronicities and through all of these sacred detours. And now we get to return to that inner truth, to that inner soul map, right? And we discover what it is that we seek has always been inside of us all along, right? Because then we go right into synchronicity is a love letter from the universe across all space and time. I feel a Queen of Wands energy, and I do feel a revelation. So the letter, I feel a very strong message attached to this card today, saying that we can now finally look back at all of the past coincidences and we can see this all from a different perspective, right? And so with the subtle powers of Neptune retrograde, we're going to revisit the past, right? Retrogrades are all about revisiting the past, but we don't revisit to suffer. We revisit to decode the meaning or the divine meaning. And with Venus in Gemini, it's going to help us piece together that puzzle with new intellectual and intuitive clarity. And so maybe at one point in time, looking back at the past would feel like chaos. Now it's like all of the synchronicities are all going to be choreographed into the bigger picture. So look again at the love story, the journey, the delays, all of the messages. Nothing in this life is a mistake, right? The universe is always guiding us, communicating with us along the way. And now maybe there's a receiving of this truth with a new sense of reverence, okay? Because the bottom of the deck, I love it. It's the universe wants to co-conspire with you. There is a Page of Wands energy. I want to say really pay attention to your dreams. I know for me, dream activity has been super active, super revealing. And I just feel this is asking you, what attributes do you want to make out of a perfect partner? Like, what is the perfect partner that you can envision for your greatest dreams? And I do want to reiterate, nobody is perfect, okay? But this kind of brings it all home on the bottom of the deck, where that Venus sextile Saturn, Venus sextile Neptune, this is relationships, this is romantic, this is spiritual, this is creative. It all has to match the frequency of your vision, right? You don't want to call somebody in that isn't going to be a match to your frequency. And so you should never have to chase, you should never have to beg, and you should never have to settle connected to love, right? The universe is preparing all of us for that mirror of the evolution that we've gone through, right? And so I really do feel a need to sit and ask yourself this weekend, are you showing up as the partner that you want to attract? Because you will attract your equal, but are you showing up as what it is that you want to attract? Are you actually making that space for the real thing, not just in love, but it has to be rooted in mission and in friendship and in creativity, because collectively we are waking up from these illusions so we can ground in these new love templates, and we create this with our voice and our vision. We get to write this into reality, right? And so we are receiving that soul guidance with the lighthouse card, and we're stepping into this co-creative universe, co-creative energy with the universe. My words are getting ahead of me. And we do this through alignment, not through effort. And so the universe does want to co-conspire with you. So if there's a tower, if there's a shakeup, if there's a breakdown, it is to get you onto a new path. And so I do feel the Divine Feminine Collective is in a massive pivotal point where we're not going to keep recreating things from the wound. Yes, we need to remember, but I do feel we need to be reminded that we are the writer of our story. We are the beloved. We are the receiver. And so oftentimes it feels like we're being tested by the universe, but we are actually being initiated, and the universe conspires with us to build, to heal, to embody. This really is about the sacred mission. And so let's talk about the 9-card spread, because it is powerful, it is multi-layered, and it definitely connects to the astrology and the collective message that came through with the astrology. So there's almost like this faded awakening coming through with the awakening card, or the hanged man card, the justice, and the release card in reverse, which is the death reversed. And so there's awakening, there's karmic balance, there's delayed transformation, I also feel like a resistance to release. And so all three of these cards in the top row, they are majors. So this does signal destined change. We got major, lots of majors. And so there's soul contracts, there's a timeline shift here. And the Hanged Man, I do feel, speaks to the Divine Feminine in a pause. Whether something has been externally imposed upon you, or you've just internally chosen to gain that new soul perspective, this is going to reveal that karmic reckoning. There is a realignment, I feel, of divine law. And let's face it, there is no bypassing this moment. It is kind of time to face the truth. And the death reversed, I feel, is that resistance to letting go. We get to rise like the phoenix after we let go. So this could be holding on to a relationship, an old identity, or a version of love that's just kind of like no longer aligned. I do feel like a soul level purification. There's like one last hitch here in order to get to the other side of this freedom. And so there is a need to mature emotionally and to see situations from a new perspective, right? I want to say from a liberated mental lens. And so when the fog lifts, we do have to surrender the old illusions, and maybe something's getting flipped upside down. But this is all in divine timing with the timing card, like the timing. And so I think you really got to ask yourself, are you willing to walk away from what you thought you wanted in order to claim what's truly yours? Sit with that one, because a massive karmic cycle is closing, and the divine feminine really is being asked that. Are you willing to walk away from what you thought you really wanted in order to claim what's actually meant for you? So let's talk about the middle row, the World, the Eight of Wands, and the Page of Fire in reversed. And so there's completion, there's acceleration, there's blocked enthusiasm or blocked creative direction. And so it does feel like a creative block. I know I'm feeling it too. All of these ideas, all of these seeds, and it's like nothing is moving forward. And I do think that is due to all of these retrogrades. But this marks a graduation of some sort, a completion. A chapter is ending. And with all endings, there is a new beginning. I do feel there is a karmic cycle connected to either a divine masculine or a father wound. And this is showing the momentum that's building, right? Downloads, synchronicities, messages. Divine timing is accelerating, but there's uncertainty, I think, about how to go forward with these ideas. Or there could be fear of initiating these new projects, these new ideas. Or maybe you're just lacking a little bit of motivation because of the retrogrades. But I just feel the Venus in Gemini wants you to speak, wants you to move, wants you to really ground in these ideas. But Saturn and Neptune are saying, nope, pause, take a step back, refine, and really think about this creative spark. So there's almost like a push-pull dynamic, I feel, with this middle row at play today. And I do feel there is like an initiation towards a new path where we end that karmic story of the push-pull, okay? So there is something here over the old chapter, the old timeline. It's done. It's over. The portal's wide open. But if you are still trying to bring an outdated dream or fantasy into this new dimension, you're going to stay stuck, okay? Bottom row, this is the inner work. This is the soul sovereignty. And so we did get the Judgment card in reverse, so kind of had to sit with that. We have the Eight of Pentacles and the Seven of Wands. So I just feel there's self-evaluation. And what I heard was no reconciliation. So there's a deep focus. There's spiritual authority being activated. There is no external closure coming. Okay? This is your opportunity to find your own healing, to create your own closure, and then to create your own clarity. We create closure. External closure never is going to come from a conversation with another person, right? People did what they did. They know what they did, and you have to create your own closure. So this really is a message about mastering your gifts, mastering your crafts, mastering your practices, and standing tall in your truth, even if the world doesn't yet reflect your worth, okay? Saturn in Aries is asking us to step into soul maturity, and the divine feminine is being called to build her own mastery, to not wait for somebody else to validate your path or to validate your truth. And Venus Neptune energy is asking you to bring all of these spiritual gifts back online and to ground them in through consistent work and faith in your mission, because I do feel this is a sacred solo season. And it isn't out of punishment, but it's to prepare you. It's to prepare you for what is meant for you. And so reconciliation might not come. Might not come now. It might not come ever. But there is a self-resurrection here in these energies. And we're going to tie it all together with the bottom of the deck, because I feel there is a hidden narrative here that we do need to talk about, okay? We have the Four of Pentacles in reversed. I love that it came out in reverse today, because I'm pretty sure in the message that I posted yesterday, it was upright. So we get the Four of Earth in reverse to the Five of Pentacles upright. So there is an Ace of Pentacles here. We get the Nine of Cups or the Nine of Water in reversed. And the Two of Fire in reversed. And then I stopped at the Emperor. Okay, and so there is a big release of control, I feel, in this message. The release of a deep abandonment wound and the collapse of the old dream, right? The collapse of what at one point in time you thought was your wish fulfillment. And I do feel there is fear of the future because maybe you don't see the vision of this Emperor energy coming. Oh, and there's that Mr. King of Cups in reverse below that, right? And so we got to release the illusion before we can have that true union. And so I do feel there is a dissolving of the illusion of the ideal partnership because nobody's perfect and nothing is ideal. And Saturn is calling for sovereignty, right? And the Gemini energy is going to help us rewrite our story. And we do this not through fantasy, but through that clarity and through that alignment. And so really, the illusion of love must fall away before the truth of love can really rise. And so an emperor is not going to come and rescue you, okay? Nobody's coming to rescue you. But an emperor will meet you at the version of you who has become her most authentic, sovereign self. That's when the emperor comes on the path. So I just feel there is a soul level awakening here. There's a karmic reset. There is a sacred refinement for the divine feminine energy. And so release the fantasy. End that karmic loop and ground yourself into mastery, please, because that's when you align with true union. And this is within before it can happen without. And so that's the Venus-Saturn energy at work here. So let's close it off with the final oracle messages. And I did choose the dragon deck because I was talking to another divine feminine and she was talking about the Sophia codes, and the dragon bloodline really has been very loud for me lately. So let's talk about the dragon energy, because we did get the air dragon, and so it does say it helps you rise above earthly matters, communicate honestly, bring inspiration and hope, see life from a higher perspective. So this really is pure Venus in Gemini energy, right? It's air energy. So Venus communicates through the airy mental realms, and this dragon energy is helping the divine feminine to detach from emotional entanglement, to speak her truth, and to see the bigger picture. You're never going to be bound by the stories of the past when you choose to see the bigger picture. So learn to speak not from a wounded place, but from a place of wisdom. When we rise above the fog, when we rise above the illusion, then we can see our journey as the sacred mission that it is, because our voice is sacred, our words are spells, and we can use them to lift us into the next timeline. But we have to use our words wisely, okay? And then on the bottom of the deck, we have the Earth and Water Dragon. Oh my goodness. And the Omega Dragon. So the Omega Dragon tells you to harness the divine feminine power of creation. Intention, hold your vision, birth the light of higher consciousness. And the Earth and Water Dragon creates that foundation for this new growth. So there is a fresh start coming with new opportunities. Nurture your ideas and harvest this abundance. The dragon energy is that mirroring, I feel, of this Eight of Pentacles and possibly the world. Okay, especially with that sextile to Saturn and Venus. There is something about building a strong, fertile foundation, something that is real, something that will flourish. There's alchemy of inner work here, meeting the energy of divine timing. So it's not just about dreaming anymore. It actually is about physically planting the seeds. Every intuitive hit and download that you receive, it's a seed. So nurture them and bring in those tangible results, right? And be patient and be persistent, because Saturn is asking us to restructure our foundation around abundance. Stay grounded, stay present. What you water now will bloom in divine time, but with the retrogrades, things are going to be an inner journey. It's going to slow down so we can have that solid foundation, that solid structure. Okay, and the Omega Dragon. I don't know if any of you have ever watched, oh my gosh, How to Train Your Dragon series, the Light Fury energy. It reminds me of the Light Fury. But this is all about the divine feminine power of creation. The divine feminine holds the creative codes. So hold the vision, because you're birthing a higher timeline of consciousness. And so this is the final embodiment of the journey for the divine feminine, where it echoes this, oh, the Judgment card. Where is it? The Judgment card. And then the Emperor too, I want to say, with the inner masculine integration. So you have to find your spark, right? You have to find that spark. This kind of feels like the cosmic midwife energy that is guiding the divine feminine to birth her highest frequency, to birth her highest timeline into the world. And we don't force this. We do this through sacred intention. So we're not becoming. We already are who we are meant to be. So all of this energy in the collective right now is clearing us. It's activating us. It's awakening us. We're shedding the old skin and we're being prepared for this true creative emergence. Divine Feminine, you are the channel. You are the vessel. You are the architect of this new timeline. So transmute the old energy around you with wisdom and grace. It's time for transmutation, magic, and healing. Offer your service because your frequency is your offering. Anchor that frequency, trust in that frequency, and let yourself be reborn. You're walking through the gates of this awakening right now, right? And we've got to balance the karmic scales. We have to stand on the edge. We have to choose the rebirth. And then we have to create, communicate, and co-create with the divine in full sovereignty. So this weekend's astrology, the weekend cards, they are all saying the past cannot follow you where you are going. Let the illusions fall away because new dreams are forming, and the true divine masculine within and without will rise to meet you in equal power. Let your wings expand, deepen those roots, and let your vision be birthed into this new world, new earth timeline. That's what I have for the weekend. So if you are ready to go deeper with me with some twin flame coaching, some astrology mentorship, or a reading, do feel free to check out the link to my webpage below. I would love to get that booked in with you. I would love to help you be able to make informed decisions about your life and to help you improve your future, right? Because the cards don't tell us what to do. They help us think about the problems to form a different perspective. And so astrology, tarot is a diagnostic tool that can be the roadmap for the solutions and the answers that we are seeking on the spiritual journey. And I can be that guide for you. If you're not ready for that, then do feel free to check out the membership side of the channel. Come and join us over on the membership side. I do go live every Thursday at noon. And I do dig into all 12 zodiacs. The last couple of weeks, I made them public, so go check it out. I'll tag it to the end of the video if you missed the live on Thursday to give you a little bit of a hint about what we do on the lives. And that's my message for the weekend check-in. Have a great weekend, everybody. I will see you all next time.